Joining me now, former U.S. Navy intelligence officer John Jordan and Ryan Mauro from the Clarion Project. Ryan, let's start with you because despite the Saudi evidence, Tehran says that it did not attack the Saudi oil facilities, that the Iran-backed Houthi rebels did it, and they in fact claimed that they did. So Ryan, given that the Houthis are a terrorist proxy of Iran, does it really matter? I mean, either way, Tehran is behind this.
It logically doesn't matter, but the Iranian regime is well aware that there are those, especially in the United States, that will demand an unreasonable amount of proof that Iran was directly behind these attacks before supporting any type of American action against the Iranian regime, military or otherwise. There is a group of people, especially those that supported the nuclear deal with Iran, who just keep raising the bar of evidence because they just don't want that to happen, a U.S.-Iranian confrontation. So Iran's playing upon that, but Iran knows that we know that they did it, and that was part of the plan all along. They just want a little bit of plausible deniability because it works well for them on the ideological stage.
All right, John, the U.S. standing by its accusation that Iran was behind the attacks. The Saudi evidence just serves to confirm it even further. Can the president afford to not take some kind of military action against this?
Taking military action in this case would be beyond foolish for the administration. The administration has got the Iranian regime on the ropes through sanctions. It's getting more and more buy-in from different countries. The Iranian economy is in free fall. Now, if you go and attack them, and bomb a facility, you haven't actually done anything to them that we're not doing them to them via sanctions. And you're giving the Iranians an opportunity for a propaganda victory, environmental calamity, dead civilians, things of that nature, which could potentially change the political dynamic for Iran. And so Iran really, really wants an attack, believe it or not.
It sounds like they do, Ryan, because if Iran is indeed behind this, surely they know that this would necessitate some kind of a response. It seems like they're almost itching for a fight with the United States. So taking some kind of military action against Tehran, to John Jordan's point, does it just play into their hands?
Well, the Iranian regime clearly believes, and theocratic leaders and terrorist leaders in the region have long believed this, I think in many times incorrectly, but they still believe what I'm about to say, is the idea that anytime they face Western military aggression, that it helps them, that there's a rallying to the leader type of effect, and so they don't have many cards to play, and so I can imagine the Iranian regime saying that's one of the few things that we can do. I would also add that if the United States were to retaliate for this attack instead of the Saudis, it actually makes the Saudis and our other Arab partners look far weaker than they do right now. And it reinforces the Islamist narrative that Saudi Arabia basically controls the United States and is one entity. So we don't want to reinforce their propaganda, and we don't want to make our allies look weak and then cause these attacks to happen again. Behind the scenes, can we help the Saudis retaliate? Sure, but it shouldn't be American men and women risking their lives for this.
Okay, so John, should the Saudis take some kind of military action to help with the support mentally or financially of the United States, to Ryan's point, because otherwise you're emboldening Tehran if the Saudis don't do anything?
No, actually, they're not emboldening Tehran. Sometimes, conflict exists on a spectrum, and the economic one is where this is going to be decided. The Saudis clearly don't want to attack Iran. That's why, publicly, they're claiming the fig leaf of the Houthis did it, and that it was not a direct act of war by Tehran. But were Saudi Arabia to attack Iran, remember, there's the religious dimension here, too. Saudi Arabia is largely Sunni, Iran is Shia. Iran does not, it pays nobody, is in nobody's interest for this to become some sort of religious war, or to change the tenor of this from Iranian expansionism to some sort of religious war, and because that only plays to Iran, the regime hands in Tehran.
John, could there be a division within Iran where the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is taking action that perhaps is not necessarily approved by President Rouhani? Is that a dynamic that we could be seeing here with these attacks?
It's certainly possible. There's no direct evidence of it. I tend to think that at some point what you suggest becomes likely, Michelle, because as the economic sanctions continue to bite and and the funding starting to dry up for these various organizations and their pension funds, which are in real trouble right now too for the security services, as that continues to become worse, there's naturally going to be tension inside the regime and disagreements on policy steps going forward. So if it hasn't happened yet, it's very likely that it will.
And, you have to imagine, Ryan, that the U.S. is potentially also looking at the political turmoil in Israel and making some calculations based on that, not wanting to take any action that is too aggressive in the middle of this political situation where we don't know who the Prime Minister of Israel is. All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, John Jordan and Ryan Mauro. Appreciate it.